today we have a very special guest on Empower 305. We have Lissette Calderon, and with her is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the Miami River and her vision. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Kenya, for having me. It is such a pleasure, such an honor. You know, being born and raised in the city of Miami, it's incredible to see kind of the evolution of where the city has gone and where it's going, and really how this, moment is really becoming a movement. So I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much. In terms of the river and really what we're doing with it, started 20 years ago. And it really was this just vision that when I thought about every great city, and I had the opportunity to travel to, and one of my big loves is history. So I love to read, and I love traveling when I can. And so when you go to all the great cities of the world, and you go to London, and you go to Paris, and you learn about Mesopotamia and how kind of the cradle of civilization was between two rivers, between the Euphrates and the Thames. And you think about those things, and you realize that all great civilizations started, on the river. And when you think to Miami's history, back in 1896, that Julia Tuttle, one of the only women to have founded a major city, the only woman. So kudos to Miami. We were at the forefront. But back in 1896, Miami was founded on the river. So back in 2000, when I started, 20 years ago, I looked back and I just couldn't understand why the river was this neglected, piece of waterfront property. At the time, the thought process was that waterfront was, Biscayne Bay and oceanfront. Right. And I kept thinking to myself, but waterfront could be riverfront. So fast forward today, when we thought about really living, working, and creating along the banks of the river, and you see, some of the old greats like Garcia's and Casablanca, and then you see kind of the new evolution with the wharf and Kiki's and so forth. It's really exciting to see kind of the vision that we had of people living, working, creating along the river coming to life. We built about 2,000 units on the river. And
which property is that? I'm thinking Neolofts. That was your first property, right?
Neolofts is the baby.
Yes.
And to me, Neolofts means so much. And if you had to say, to this day, pick your favorite project, it still is Neolofts. And if I can take you back to 20 years, here I was, this 28-year-old, and I had this vision that I could bring people to live along the banks of the Miami River. And I knew when I talked about the Miami River that I was looking at the Miami River, and I was looking at housing, and here I was, this 28-year-old, Ivy League educated, with a good job, and there was nothing I could afford. I either had to, go out to the suburbs and drive an hour in for work, or I could do the very unsexy thing of live with mom, which I did. And then if I wanted to live in an apartment, I had, my son, who was 125-pound, rescue that I loved more than life, my dog Zeus. And if I wanted to live in a condo, I couldn't take him. So I knew that there was this market for people like me that were professionals, young professionals, that were looking to live, in somewhere urban, somewhere close to everything, but at a price point that we could afford. Having lived in New York and lived in a very cool loft, I knew that if I brought the loft concept to Miami, I thought it would be, very well received, and it could be something that we could do a Miami loft, because we don't have.
That was actually the stepping stone to everything else along the river. That's what revitalized the river, and I'm so proud to say that you were a woman with a vision. And I drive through my office. My office overlooks the river, and I said, wow, how Lissy was able, to envision all this, and it's so remarkable. And then from Neo, you had what? What was your second property?
Neo Vertigo. And when I go back to, Neo Lofts and to finish it, Neo Lofts today stands as the Grand Dam of the Miami River. It really was what started.
20 years later, huh?
20 years later, she's the Grand Dam of the Miami River. And it really was what was the catalyst for the Miami River's renaissance. But more importantly, I hope everybody drives and past Neo Lofts and sees it as the embodiment of the American dream. Because only in Miami does a 28-year-old Hispanic female who's the first to go to college, who's the first person born in the United States, get to build a high-rise at the age of 28.
Knowing that you continue to have that drive and that
Absolutely.
passion.
And that is why I love Miami. And shout out to great leadership, people like Manny Diaz, who believed in me back in the day. And today we have, great leadership with, Francis and Alex doing what they're doing. So, again, we're just such a forward-thinking entrepreneurial city that has allowed me to continue to do what I do. We had Neo Vertica, another great success. We had Win by Neo.
Win by Neo, that sits right in
their heart. And
that's like in a city.
It's a city within itself.
Yeah, it is.
And then, more recently, we bought Pier 19, and that was an existing building. But
over the river as well.
It's on the river as well, and that's Pier 19, and repositioned it. It was an existing project, but I, took it apart and put it back together again. And today,
awesome views. I've been there. Yeah,
beautiful views, great amenities, and so it's really impressive to see kind of everything that we talked about in the evolution of the river come to life. So there's nothing that I enjoy more than on Sundays just kind of going up and down the river and really seeing, that's ours, oh, and this we said we were going to happen. And then to see places like Sewell Park that are these incredible gems that, because of, I think, the people that we're bringing in, that we encourage the walkability and everything and the collaboration between the city and ourselves, the private sector, that people are now enjoying these beautiful waterfront gems and these incredible parks that for years, I think, were forgotten.
And you continue, because I know you're a big advocate of the city of Miami because you were born and raised here. I know that you have Julia, right? And it's in Allapattah.
I do. We did such a great job, really kind of redefining and reimagining and reinventing the Miami River, that as we really evolved and we thought about the next neighborhood to rethink and to reimagine and really recreate, Allapattah really was at the forefront of that. When I think of Allapattah, to me, it's the last authentic neighborhood in the city of Miami. And there was something magical about its authenticity with its immigrant roots and the businesses that are there and the culture and the arts and the incredible food. So
awesome food.
Incredible food in Allapattah and just with its roots in, kind of the fruit packing and everything. Yeah. We felt that there was an incredible opportunity to really bring high-quality housing to the area. When you think of Allapattah, it's really the belly button in the city. It's at the heart.
I like to say that. It's true, yeah.
And you've got, the second largest health district after Houston is in Allapattah. And then you've got mass transit running through Allapattah.
Very good.
And,
True.
You've got your 10-minute drive to everything. You've got all the highways and so forth. So to me, Allapattah was really just a natural extension of what we were doing in terms of reimagining the next neighborhood.
So the name Julia. Why'd you come up with the name Julia?
Well, it's that building is very special. We've every project. I could probably say something special about all our projects because we get intimately involved. But Julia in particular is our next project to open up, and that one plays a near and dear heart. That project is named after Julia Tuttle. And that is because as the founding mother of Miami, to me it was a testament to everything that women can do in Miami. It's the only major city to have been founded by a woman, and now it's being built by a woman developer. And so I think it's, it stands the same way Neil Loft stands as a testament to the American dream. I hope Julia stands as a testament to every young girl with big dreams that you can do it.
And I want you to give me that message that a young girl with dreams here goes to study or studies here locally. We have great universities here. They have those visions. What message would you send to that young girl who has a dream of becoming someone just like you?
I'm the proud mom of 3 young girls. They're all teenagers. And I would tell them what I remind my girls, every day. This is the land of opportunities, but there's no such thing as a free ride. You can't take the elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Mm-hmm. It's about hard work. It's about determination. It's about grit. It's tenacity. And then there's a certain amount of don't be afraid to fail. Go for it. If you're not failing, you're not taking risks. And you have to do it. And the way I see failure, it's either a lesson or a blessing. And so I always say be courageous, be fearless, but work hard. And then just work harder than everybody else and work smart. And eventually you're going to get there. You're going to hit a lot of bumps, but just never give up. Because sometimes you're right there, right when you're about to give up. I mean, there's been so many highs and lows in my career. And if I had quit when it got hard, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I think it was that tenacity and that grit and almost that blind faith in what I do, but above all, be passionate. Because I think you can be good at anything, but you can only be great at what you're passionate about.
100%. And I I know because we've had conversations over the years, how you combine work life, you have that balance about always giving back. How do you balance the girls, your husband, work life, and still being that one person to pay it forward? How do you do all that? How do you get things to work?
I think that I gave up on perfection a long time ago. And that I'm going to
document that. We're recording that, right? We're recording that.
I did. I can do it all, just not all at the same time. And
I think you learned that a couple of years ago,
I did.
Right?
And there's days that I'm a better mom, and there's days that I'm a better executive.
You're a remarkable mom.
And there's days that I'm sorry, that I have to tell my kids, I'm sorry, I can't meet you for dinner. I have to work late. And then there's days that I tell the office, I'm sorry, I'm stepping out to go watch, my daughter's equestrian competition. And then there's days that I go and I want to do kind of the charity work that's meaningful to me. And that matters to me and that's important and it makes me feel complete. So I think it's when you kind of let go of what it's supposed to be like and you just kind of embrace it for what it is. You start doing it and you just start really feeling good. And I always say, I just have to make sure that who's looking back in the mirror is proud of me. And if I say that, you know what, it's okay, it's okay. So that's one of the things. So there's days, that I feel that I'm better at some things than others. But overall, we just keep going.
And I know that your oldest, she's following in your footsteps, right?
Oh, mini me, yes.
She is literally her mini me. And I know that she has this profound love for equestrian, and I know you do too. And take me back, because I know that she loves it, but it was you, the one that got her started, right?
It's horses have always been a passion, and it was not anything that we could, really afford. But it was, I always grew up, when you went to horse country or something, and I found horses therapeutic, and it was just something that I loved everything about, brushing their hair and the way they smelled and the stalls and so forth. And, as my daughter grew up, my brother, who has an even bigger love of horses than I do, would take her horseback riding. And when she was 6 years old, she asked for horse lessons for her 6th birthday as a gift. And as we say, the rest is history. And now she's rides for the U.S. junior team and so forth. But I think it's a common passion that we have, and I think it's what makes a lot of our relationship very fun. She loves development. She's going on to business school now. I could not be prouder of everything she's done and accomplished. And hopefully she'll come back and continue building on what we've done here. But that said, to me, horses are work I escape to on the weekends. We recently bought a farm up in Wellington, Florida. And so that's where I get to, you'll find me over there escaping sometimes. And it's where I do some of my best thinking, actually.
That's awesome.
When I'm there brushing a horse or I'm riding or doing something, it's just kind of the horse and I and just the thoughts and, really kind of clearing my mind.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you were able to find that one thing that kind of hits the reset button, right? It kind of hits the reset button sometimes.
It does. Even just going there for 24 hours feels like I was on vacation.
That's awesome.
It really does allow me to reset. It allows me, to kind of take the persona off, the work persona, and just kind of really enjoy like the equestrian self, put on my boots, do everything and just put my hair up in a ponytail. And
you're an amazing mom. You're an amazing wife, amazing friend, sister. You're remarkable. Everyone that I have met that knows you is so proud of you. I'm very proud of you too. And I want to thank you for being with us here today and for being so important to the city of Miami and their residents. And first of all, and all of all, is having heart. And that is what matters. Because you care about everyone regardless of where they come from. Because I do recall this one time that your daughter called me, Mom, she's insistent on going out and just giving food to everyone. I'm like, hold on. Let me help you there. She was all worried, but and that's a good thing that you show that everyone is important.
Everybody's important, and everybody has dignity. And there's different ways to lead, but I hope that I lead by example and inspiration. Oh. And that's really what I hope to. So if my children see me giving back, I hope that the greatest legacy I give them and the greatest gift is that they too will leave the world a better place than they found it.
Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you for having giving us these 20 minutes of your time. I know you're always rushing, but it's so important to have people know what you envisioned and what you've been able to accomplish and what you continue to do for the city of Miami. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us on our next Empowered 305 coming up soon.